Welcome to the discussion. Today's paper, Dynamic 3D Gaussian Tracking for Graph-Based Neural Dynamics Modeling, tackles a significant challenge in robotics, accurately predicting the movement of deformable objects based on video data. The authors propose a novel framework combining 3D Gaussian splatting with graph neural networks. What are the key limitations of existing video prediction approaches that this paper addresses?
Existing methods often fail to fully leverage the 3D information inherent in multi-view videos, particularly concerning robot actions and the 3D states of objects. This limitation restricts their applicability in real-world robotic scenarios. The reliance on 2D information leads to inaccuracies and a lack of robustness when dealing with complex object deformations, occlusions, and varying lighting conditions. This paper aims to overcome these limitations by explicitly incorporating 3D information and robot actions into the dynamics model.
The paper utilizes 3D Gaussian splatting. For our expert audience, can you elaborate on the advantages of this representation compared to other 3D scene representations, such as point clouds or meshes, in the context of dynamic object modeling?
3D Gaussian splatting offers several advantages. First, the Gaussian representation inherently handles uncertainty and noise present in real-world data. The covariance matrix of each Gaussian allows for representing the uncertainty in the object's shape and position. Second, the smooth nature of Gaussians facilitates efficient rendering and interpolation, crucial for generating realistic video predictions. Point clouds, while offering high detail, can be noisy and lack inherent smoothness. Meshes, on the other hand, are computationally expensive to deform and can struggle with highly deformable objects. The Gaussian representation provides a balance between detail, efficiency, and robustness.
The paper mentions the use of a particle-based dynamics model trained using graph neural networks, GNNs. Why are GNNs particularly well suited for modeling the dynamics of deformable objects?
GNNs excel at modeling complex relationships between interacting components. In this context, the control particles derived from the 3D Gaussians represent the vertices of the graph, and the edges represent the spatial relationships between them. This allows the GNN to learn the intricate dependencies between the particles' motions, capturing the complex deformations of the object. Furthermore, the message passing mechanism of GNNs enables efficient propagation of information across the graph, facilitating accurate prediction of future states. Traditional methods often struggle to capture these complex interactions effectively.
The paper describes a process of downsampling the densely tracked 3D Gaussians to a sparse set of control particles. What is the rationale behind this downsampling, and how does it affect the accuracy and efficiency of the model?
Downsampling reduces the computational complexity of the GNN training and inference. Processing a dense set of Gaussians would be computationally prohibitive. The key is to select representative control particles that capture the essential features of the object's deformation. The farthest point sampling algorithm used in the paper is effective in achieving this. While some information is lost during downsampling, the interpolation scheme using linear blend skinning effectively reconstructs the dense Gaussian motions from the sparse control particle predictions, minimizing the loss of accuracy.
The paper highlights the use of physics-inspired optimization objectives in the dynamic 3D Gaussian splatting stage. Can you elaborate on the role of these objectives and how they contribute to the overall performance of the system?
The physics-inspired objectives, such as local rigidity and isometry constraints, help to regularize the optimization process and ensure physical plausibility. They prevent unrealistic deformations and improve the stability of the tracking over time. This is particularly important for long horizon video sequences where accumulated errors can lead to significant inaccuracies. By incorporating these constraints, the optimization process is guided towards physically realistic solutions, resulting in more accurate and consistent 3D Gaussian tracking.
The paper demonstrates the framework's application to model-based planning. How does the learned dynamics model integrate with a model predictive control MBC framework for object manipulation?
The learned dynamics model serves as the predictive component within the MBC framework. Given a desired target configuration, the MBC algorithm iteratively predicts the object's future states under different potential robot actions using the learned dynamics model. It then selects the action sequence that minimizes the difference between the predicted object state and the target state. This allows for planning complex manipulation tasks involving deformable objects, leveraging the accurate and efficient predictions provided by the learned dynamics model.
The experiments involved various deformable materials like ropes, clothes, and stuffed animals. Did the model generalize well across these different material types? And what were the key challenges in training the model on such diverse objects?
The model demonstrated reasonable generalization across different material types, although performance varied depending on the complexity of the object's deformation. The key challenge was in learning a sufficiently generalizable representation that could capture the diverse physical properties of these materials. The use of GNNs, with their ability to model complex interactions, proved beneficial in this regard. However, further improvements could be achieved by incorporating material-specific parameters or using more sophisticated graph structures.
The paper compares the proposed method to other system identification approaches, such as parameter optimization in physics-based simulators. What are the key advantages of the data-driven approach presented in this paper compared to these physics-based methods?
The data-driven approach avoids the need for accurate physical models and manual parameter tuning, which are often challenging and time-consuming for complex, deformable objects. Physics-based simulators often require careful modeling of material properties and intricate simulation parameters, which can be difficult to obtain accurately for real-world objects. The data-driven approach learns directly from real-world interactions, implicitly capturing the complex physics involved without requiring explicit modeling. This reduces the sim to real gap and improves the accuracy and generalizability of the learned dynamics model.
The paper mentions the use of additional regularization terms during training, such as edge length regularization and rigidity regularization. Can you explain the purpose of these terms and their impact on the model's performance?
These regularization terms help to improve the stability and physical plausibility of the predictions. Edge length regularization penalizes changes in edge lengths between consecutive frames, encouraging smoother and more realistic deformations. Rigidity regularization, applied to objects that are relatively rigid or exhibit limited deformation, penalizes deviations from rigid body motion, further enhancing the physical realism of the predictions. These terms act as constraints, guiding the learning process towards solutions that are both accurate and physically consistent.
The paper uses linear blend skinning for interpolating the motions of 3D Gaussians from the sparse control particles. Why was Pounds chosen, and what are its advantages and limitations in this context?
Pounds was chosen for its efficiency and simplicity in interpolating the transformations of the Gaussians. It's a well-established technique in computer graphics for animating articulated characters, and it adapts well to this problem. The advantages include computational efficiency and the ability to produce smooth and visually plausible deformations. However, Pounds has limitations in handling highly nonlinear deformations. In cases of extreme deformations, more sophisticated interpolation techniques might be necessary to maintain accuracy.
The evaluation metrics included 3D distance metrics, 2D segmentation similarity metrics, and 2D image-based metrics. Why was this multifaceted approach to evaluation adopted, and what does it reveal about the strengths and weaknesses of the proposed method?
The multifaceted evaluation approach provides a comprehensive assessment of the model's performance across different aspects. 3D distance metrics evaluate the accuracy of the predicted 3D object shapes and positions. 2D segmentation similarity metrics assess the accuracy of the predicted object masks in the rendered images. 2D image-based metrics evaluate the visual realism of the generated videos. This combination allows for a more complete understanding of the model's strengths and weaknesses, revealing its ability to accurately predict both the 3D geometry and the visual appearance of the object's motion.
The paper mentions the use of grounding Dino and segment anything models for object segmentation. How crucial is accurate object segmentation to the overall performance of the proposed framework, and what are the potential limitations of relying on these pre-trained models?
Accurate object segmentation is crucial for isolating the objects of interest and improving the efficiency of the 3D Gaussian optimization. By removing background clutter, the optimization process focuses on the relevant object, leading to improved tracking accuracy. However, relying on pre-trained models introduces potential limitations. These models may fail in cases of significant occlusions, ambiguous object boundaries, or unusual object appearances. The performance of the overall framework is therefore sensitive to the accuracy of the segmentation results.
The conclusion mentions limitations related to data collection and perception. What are the key challenges in collecting high-quality real-world data for training such a model, and how could these challenges be addressed in future work?
Collecting high-quality real-world data for training this type of model is expensive and time-consuming. It requires careful synchronization of multiple camera views with robot actions, precise object pose estimation, and robust handling of occlusions and lighting variations. Future work could focus on developing more efficient data collection pipelines, potentially using synthetic data augmentation to supplement real-world data. Improving the robustness of the perception system, particularly in handling challenging scenarios with significant occlusions or textureless objects, is also crucial.
The paper focuses on deformable objects. Could this framework be extended to handle rigid objects, and if so, what modifications would be necessary?
Yes, the framework could be adapted to handle rigid objects. The core components, such as the 3D Gaussian representation and the GNN-based dynamics model, remain applicable. However, the physics-inspired optimization objectives and regularization terms would need to be modified to reflect the rigid body constraints. The interpolation scheme might also be simplified, as rigid objects do not exhibit the same complex deformations as deformable objects. The key advantage would be the ability to handle both rigid and deformable objects within a unified framework.
The paper uses a fixed set of Gaussians throughout the optimization and prediction process. Would adapting the number of Gaussians over time improve the model's performance, and what are the potential trade-offs?
Adapting the number of Gaussians over time could potentially improve the model's performance, particularly in handling objects with varying levels of detail or undergoing significant shape changes. A dynamic number of Gaussians could allow for a more efficient representation, focusing computational resources on regions of high detail or significant deformation. However, this would introduce additional complexity to the optimization and prediction process. The trade-off would be between improved accuracy and increased computational cost.
The choice of the farthest point sampling algorithm for selecting control particles is mentioned. Are there alternative sampling methods that could be explored, and what are their potential advantages and disadvantages? Yes, several alternative sampling methods could be explored, such as random sampling, k-means clustering, or other more sophisticated sampling techniques. Random sampling is simple but may not be as effective in selecting representative particles. K-means clustering could provide a more uniform coverage of the object's surface, but it's computationally more expensive. More advanced sampling methods, such as those based on graph structures or manifold learning, could potentially improve the selection of control particles, but they also introduce additional complexity. The choice of sampling method involves a trade-off between computational cost and the quality of the selected particles. The paper uses a relatively simple GNN architecture. Could more complex GNN architectures, such as those with more sophisticated message passing mechanisms or attention mechanisms, improve the model's performance?
Yes, employing more complex GNN architectures could potentially lead to improvements in the model's performance. More sophisticated message passing mechanisms could allow for more effective propagation of information across the graph, capturing more intricate relationships between the particles. Attention mechanisms could help the model focus on the most relevant parts of the object's deformation. However, using more complex architectures also increases the computational cost and the risk of overfitting. The choice of architecture involves a trade-off between model complexity and performance.
The success of the model relies heavily on the quality of the initial 3D Gaussian initialization. How sensitive is the model to errors in this initialization, and what strategies could be employed to improve the robustness to initialization errors?
The model is relatively sensitive to errors in the initial 3D Gaussian initialization. Inaccurate initialization can lead to errors that accumulate over time, affecting the accuracy of the tracking and prediction. Strategies to improve robustness include using more sophisticated initialization methods, such as those based on multi-view stereo or point cloud registration techniques. Incorporating uncertainty in the initialization process, for example, by using probabilistic models, could also improve robustness. Furthermore, incorporating feedback mechanisms during the optimization process could help to correct for initial errors.
The paper focuses on predicting short-term future motions. Could this framework be extended to predict long-term future motions, and what are the key challenges in doing so?
Extending the framework to predict long-term future motions is a significant challenge. The primary difficulty lies in the accumulation of errors over time. Small errors in the short-term predictions can amplify significantly over longer time horizons, leading to inaccurate and unrealistic predictions. Strategies to address this challenge include using more sophisticated GNN architectures, incorporating more robust regularization techniques, and potentially incorporating physics-based constraints into the prediction process. Furthermore, developing more effective methods for handling uncertainty in the predictions is crucial for long-term forecasting.
This has been a very insightful discussion on the intricacies of this research paper. Thank you.